Are we live?
Yes, we are.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to the 26th vvvv meetup, first of 2025. I have the delight to be your host today. My name is Randall Vasquez and we have a lot to share today. So if you're just joining us, thank you for joining. I want to let you know that we have a live chat going on in YouTube. Ooh, I'm getting some echo now. Interesting.
Do you have to turn us off?
I think it should be okay. I muted my mic now.
Maxim, should we mute this also? No? Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Did you also hear the echo, or was it just me? It was quite a surreal experience. Anyway, it seems to be working now. Okay, thank you. So we have a live chat on YouTube. We're also on the Element chat. If you want to join us on YouTube or Zoom, we have it's coming again, I think. I got echo again. It's got like a 30-second delay. It's very weird.
Do you have the YouTube on at the same time?
Could that be? That was it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, again, you can join us on Zoom. The link is on the Element chat and also on the blog post we have for the meetup tonight. You can also join us just on YouTube. And we have a party going on both in Berlin and in Vienna. So if you want to join us physically, there's pasta, I believe, in Berlin, as well as beers and beverages, and we have pizza in Vienna, if you'd rather have that. So thank you for everybody who helped us set this up. We have quite a busy agenda tonight. So first of all, let's try to keep presentations to a 10-minute block. I'll have a timer over here just to aid us in that process. And I hope we have everybody here. We have presentations from Amir, antokhio, Bessie, Bildwerk, Domjay, Simone, and Mozzi. So quite a lot to look forward to. And without much more to do, Amir, do you want to take the stage?
Sure. Hi. Good evening and afternoon, morning, wherever you are. I'm jealous that I'm not in Berlin or not in Vienna. I don't know which one is better, the pizza or the pasta, but I do my best to join for the next one. Don't enjoy it too much because you would feel very jealous. Anyways, okay. I have 9 minutes and something, so I'm going to share my screen really quickly. And I tend to speak too fast. That is a general, it's a known bug. It hasn't been fixed yet, but if let me just do it, and if you have any questions afterwards, I can get back to it. That is the safest option. So before I show you the application itself, I'm put together like a tiny little presentation that it helped me to sort of organize my thought as I explain it. I'm going to show you a game, and this game is basically because it's a game, it's interactive. It is designed for a very short span of time, so people can just play it very quickly. It has been presented in a conference, in a robotic conference, and the only thing that is a little odd about this is that the interface that enables you to control the game is a little bit odd, as it normally should be for a game. So we are using two robots to control basically this game. And if I am able to go to the next slide, that would be amazing. Do you still hear me or have me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Responding.
Hello.
My Zoom is frozen. Do you hear me?
I hear you, yes, Amir. Amir? Hello.
We can hear you and see you.
Oh, you can also see me. Am I moving there? Do you also see my screen?
Yes, it's frozen, but it's there.
Yeah, I think that is also my problem, that my Zoom is actually frozen for whatever reason. Well, that wasn't as convenient as I thought.
Technical difficulty day, looks like, huh?
Yeah, it's good that I asked for checking it before. All right. Okay, let me change something really quick. Randall, do you want to go with hello?
Yeah, you want me to move on to the next guest
maybe,
in the meantime?
let me, because my Zoom, I don't see you anymore. Like, it's just frozen Zoom here.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Sorry. Okay, I'll get back to you in a second.
Yeah, I mean, something's going on today. Everything seems to be a bit against us on the technical side. But up next, we have Antokhio. I don't know if he's with us in the call.
Hey.
Hello, Antokhio.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
We can hear you.
Perfect. So
I think Amir's screen is still sharing, or is that just my impression?
yep.
And he's frozen. Oh, now, yes. Okay, thank you, Antokhio. So what do you have for us today?
As you guys maybe know, I've been doing some front-end bullshit lately, and they have this, basically it's CSS layouts with the flex boxes all around. So I decided to look on that field, and it ended up with kind of working package. So let's try it out. Well, if we add flex to our patch, we're gonna see this flex category, which basically all the building blocks you need for flex layout. So let's start with something. Let's start with something like display something. I guess. So we have this flex render, which is kind of simple ski wrapper for flex. You can see it's really pretty basic. The one thing that extends the basic renderer is this layout thing. It's basically a process that's gonna calculate the layouts for us. So next we have some, we have kind of basic, I have kind of basic flex node, which is like a core thingy. It's used if you want to create your own flex nodes. Not gonna dig into it right now. Gonna use something called flex rectangle. So
Antokhio, could you please zoom in a little bit more so it's easier to see? Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're gonna need some kind of space. So basically, flex nodes are coming in two flavors. It's flex spectral and basic and just flex. We have this this pin called children. So using Control Plus, we can add more childrens to it. Like this. As you can see, not much is happening. This is due to the nature of the flex layout. It's basically everything is drawn in 1 pixel over there. To fix this, we can say we can use styles. Like for instance, we can put flex 1 on the nodes. So as soon as we do this, everything gonna get multiplied. So our parent container, well, I don't know how to describe vvvflex, but the idea is that every flex node is kind of a tree node. So we basically can add more and more stuff onto it. Like we can separate rectangles with more rectangles and so on. Like you can see, it's already separated. I wonder also, can just do like this. No, probably a bad idea. So we can change the container well, we can look at flex styles. It's in here. All the styles that are available for flexes. So in flex, you usually control the control the positioning of the children via container. So for instance, we can set direction for that container. It's gonna give us ability to kind of switch our layout. Also, there is stuff like, for instance, flex gap. This is gonna give us the separation between the elements. I don't know. We can do padding for the container. It's gonna give us the offset around the container. So
We have 4 minutes, antokhio.
yeah. Well, so next, why this is cool? Because we can use some stuff like breakpoints, for instance. I made this breakpoint node, which basically can be used inside the graph. Let's try it. Right. So can put it inside breakpoint and why it's not doing anything. Maybe some tweaking. Yeah, well, some random stutters still happening. Anyways, for instance, breakpoint, we can check the layout. No, which is flex layout arcs. Probably we can check owner width. So this gonna give. So the breakpoint is basically emitted when the layout changes, and it's gonna get provided with current layout arguments. Like if you check in the renderer, there is a layout node, and it provides some sort of size for the layout. And now we can hook to it over here. And for instance, we can do a switch. So if the width of the layout more than 1, we need also the value. No, it's optional, nullable. So with value more than 1, we're gonna switch the direction from column to row, for instance. So now, okay, maybe more than 2.
There you go.
It's still, yeah, there we go. So we need to increment value. So basically you can change the style of the layout based on the width. All right, so everything is cool, but let's create.
We have 20 seconds.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna show you quickly the flex region for like 20 seconds. We need a process for it, and let's say my flex block. There is a flex region node. Basically, this node comes in 2 flavors. Flex region layout. This is basically the layout that's gonna be calculated. And flex region layer. This is where we provide the skier layer. So I guess the most easy, we need ski added. The most easy example would be just to draw a rectangle and so my flex block. So basically we can, we need something else. Yes, interface. And we can just plug it around here, I guess. And we also should set flex to 1. So here you can see we can draw basically anything inside the region. I don't know, I think there is some other nodes. There is also the thing called measure function. Measure function.
We should wrap it up now in Tokyo.
So yeah, measure function is well, every time anything in the layout is called, basically we can provide a delegate that's gonna calculate the size for us. I think you can look at the flex text node. So basically, measure function will calculate the text inside the block.
No,
So,
nice.
right.
But to summarize it, it's a layouting library, I guess we call it, that runs on top of Skia or under Skia, depends on how you want to look at it. And so the things we would use to draw would be Skia, standard Skia, yes?
Not exactly. Basically, the Flex itself, the library yoga, the one from Facebook, is really totally framework agnostic. It doesn't really bound to any kind of graphics engine at all. So basically, you can do your Flex layouts with I'm GUI or with stride boxes. I don't know. It totally doesn't. The package I'm showing you, the Flex Skia, yes, it's bound to Skia just to test the things. But technically, I've seen already examples where this was used with I'm GUI, but I didn't had enough time to kind of dig into how to use it with I'm GUI properly. But all they do is this: you have this set cursor position, get cursor position, and basically inside of wrapper, what they do is just set position. And you can have all the I'm GUI stuff already like flexible.
Nice.
Honestly want to look onto something like my own UI library, but it's really hard to approach. I mean, there is so, like right now I'm stuck on the input, on input handling for the whole thing. I mean, all this Flex layout does is kind of creates you a tree graph, like it creates you a graph where all your nodes are connected like a tree. And then you have this algorithm of kind of straightening the tree. You can go like depth first. You can go like by depth. So from the first node, second depth node gonna go evaluate second, the same depth now. And all they do is they traversing the trees in different order.
Okay, I think we have to wrap it up now, antokhio, but I think we get the idea. Do we have any questions maybe from the public, the people at Berlin, Vienna, or people on YouTube? Comments?
Question on Tokyo. Are you doing this just for fun, or do you have a real world use case in mind?
No, well, I've looked on I'm GUI. And then I'm looking on some modern UI frameworks and was like,
Just looking for to have something in petto when you need it.
Well, yes. I don't know if I have time. I will try to hook it into the I'm GUI, but really I'm trying to look onto some kind of maybe Elementor or something. That has more sophisticated widgets. I'm not sure. It's pretty nicely works with Kia for sure. I mean, I'm thinking maybe to develop some kind of combined style, like you have Skia style combined with the Flex style, and you have, so depending on which element is there, it gets its own style under the hood. But yeah, little bit too much work.
Well, when it comes to input handling, I remember Cobb Farben he built this docking InGUI thing, and there he had to handle input from the Skia pipeline, the Stride pipeline, the ImGUI pipeline. So maybe that's worth a little chat for you to figure out handling the input layers from all the different technologies would be my suggestion. But if we don't have any more questions or comments, I think it's really cool. I see a lot of potential in this layouting thing.
I have one quick question. So basically, can we understand this as like on this same like feature set as a CSS Flexbox layout in HTML? And is there also like a grid support to do that whole gamut?
Well, you see, the Flex itself is just a subset of CSS styles. So, for instance, grid styles are not exactly Flex. At least I haven't seen them on Flex in the main library, but you can create grids just using Flex. The CSS itself, it has a lot of processors. So yes, technically it's super similar to the CSS Flex, but it's not like it's not like a CSS. It doesn't have like, I don't know, around it doesn't have like CSS display properties like, I don't know, round corners or something like that. But yeah, you can create grids easily, I mean, with responsive stuff also.
Awesome. Yeah, well, like even if it's not full CSS, I have struggled with laying out a lot of stuff nicely in ImGUI and Skia and so on. So it's a great library to have. Thank you a lot.
Yeah, as I said, the whole core thing is really kind of basic. I mean, there is this Flex region, and you can build everything inside the Flex regions. Like here, it asks for a Skia layer, but it can be, I don't know, ImGUI context, and you can pass it around. We started with Yard to try. We started to some kind of testing to port the whole thing to ImGUI, but still need yeah. The one thing I wanted to mention, also not obvious, there is for the measure function, for instance, there is a context object, and you have basically Flex region context node, which accepts any type of object, which you can then parse inside measure function. Like, for instance, when I do text, I pass text length and amount of lines.
Okay, so we have some flexibility there.
Yeah.
Cool. Antokhio, I'm very sorry, but we have taken up too much time already. Where can we find more information if we want to know more about this? Do you need people to join in and help? Where do we get this if we want to use it? Can you tell us those?
Yes, you can. The main repo is on GitHub. So it's VL.Flex. Well, you can start from here. There is no issues, but you can create some issues, I guess. I will fix them. The nugget thing is really basic. I think it uses some kind of nugget that from Yoga Sharp, which is also my nugget, but
okay, but you can find it online then in GitHub, and you know Antokhio is with us on the chat if you need anything else from him on this front. So thank you very much for sharing this work with us tonight, Antokhio. Very cool library for laying out stuff. And yeah, big round of applause for Antokhio.
Wait,
Thank you.
Randall.
Oh, we have
one last question to Antokhio. I was wondering if it would be easier to just take the Flex library, and it's not about input handling and not about ImGUI or ImGUI or Ski or Stride or whatever, and not about the input handling of all these libraries, but it's the Flex library itself is only about the layouting. So I was wondering if the wrapping of the Flex library called VL.Flex should also just be about layouting, and then the help patches maybe could show how to use it in one way or the other. But yeah, I was just wondering if there are different ways how to wrap the Flex library, like just in a very slim way. Would maybe also be interesting to just not wire it up with skier so tightly. I was just
yeah, yes. The problem is that you have this Flex region layer, which you cannot really make generic. I mean, we have this Flex region somewhere, which is kind of which is kind of would be nice to have generic, but it introduces some kind of complexity in the end. So I'm thinking that it's easier to have like Flex region for skier, Flex region for ImGUI, Flex region for other stuff. But well, the problem is that it's a little bit separated. Like you have this ImGUI style, and next to it you're gonna have this Flex style, and that's the thing I don't really like. I mean, you want to have like one style that basically slices on wherever
okay,
you
you already have Flex, and then you have Flex here, and so you're separating those already on the different.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Because for Flex, the VL.Flex itself is like a super low-level building block. You can check the source code really. Well, it's.
I wanted to push this, ask this one last question, but yeah. Maybe this is too much.
Well,
yeah, let's get you guys a room, and you can keep this up on private later.
There is really like one huge class that does all the wrapping for the internal library, and the rest is basically done in VL. The VL skier doesn't have any kind of C# or anything. So yeah, you can. As I said, the problem is not in the Flex itself. The problem is to make the region generic enough so you can reuse it in another kind of pipelines. Because if you say for skier, you need a layer. For ImGUI, you need a context. And depending on the framework, you end up with a different kind of value of the region should pass. Well,
it's a little bit impossible to create this one node or region or whatever that is capable of doing everything, like in already being done in a way that it will work for all these different systems. But anyway,
well, I must admit the region thingy is a little bit blurry for me still. I kind of started to get a grip on it, but still I don't understand some of the parts of it. So maybe later I will be able to abstractify it so you can plug in render and it's done. Yeah.
Okay, well, Thank you again, Antokhio, for sharing and making up this library. Great work. Clearly, there's some interest and some discussions to be had there, so that's already a good sign. I think Amir is now back up and running, ready for
Amir is back.
a second attempt. Amazing.
All right,
Okay.
Antokhio, thanks so much. Really cool stuff. Impressive. All right, so I paid my greetings tribute in the first portion of my failed conversation. I'm going right into the where I left off. So I guess it was about the game. Do you see my screen yet? All right. I think you should. All right, good, perfect.
Yes.
So basically, I was about to talk about this game and the weirdness of the interface of the game. The interface of the game are two robots that they look like this. They called collaborative robots. They are from this company called KUKA, and they are like one of the flagships of producing these robots that they are. They have a feature called hand guiding, and they are like really impressive. And the hand guiding is that the robot knows if you push it around. So you can basically, instead of programming it or writing a line of code, you just go and wrestle with the robot and you grab the nose of the robot and move it around here and there. And because they're using like really intuitive sensors, like torque sensors and electronic measurement of the joints, if you're interested, we can talk about it later. It feels so much fun to move them around. So we were thinking of, first of all, they don't come with this handle here. We call them a tool that normally we design that, like a colleague of mine designed this. So this is how it looks like. We mounted it on top of the robot. And then this bar is basically a place that you can physically grab, and through this you can move the robot around. And this is how the installation looked like. So we had two of them, one of them on the right side, the other robot on the left side, if you see on my screen over here. And then we had a portrait style of a monitor in front that the game was happening there. And some sketches that this is basically how it looks like in basically in the setup in the real exhibition area. I have a very short video. I hope that the frame rate, it should work. I mean, I tested it before. It doesn't have audio, so I can talk over it. So this is how it looks like in the end. Does the video play proper, or you have a struggle? You struggle with the frame rate?
It's a bit choppy, but I think we get the idea.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what you see here is called IROS. This is a robotic conference. It's one of the biggest one. And last year it's a rotating conference, and every time it's somewhere. And last year it was in Abu Dhabi, which was also first time I was going there to Abu Dhabi, and also first time in IROS, which is like crazy. Like you see all these robots and all the manufacturers, all the I don't know, like academics, state of the art of producing, making robot, and robot researchers there. So it's like mind blowing. And also all the humanoids and quadrupeds, etc., was there. So we had this booth there, and we would invite people to play with this game. As you see, people like they grab the robots, they move them around. It looks like the interface or interaction is similar to a differential drive. So you have both of them, like you use your both hands. If you push the right one forward, basically you rotate to the left. And if you do the opposite, you rotate to the right. And if you push both of them at the same time forward, basically the protagonist of the game moves forward. And this is the protagonist of the game. So basically, this is this ball that you see here. If you are old enough to remember the Madness Marble or Marble Madness.
Classic.
Yeah, it's a classic. It goes back to 1984. I mean, it took almost another decade until I was born even. So that is basically it's a resample of that. With the fact that I just try to make this scenery in a way that is sort of related to the region or the area that we were playing or we were showing this as part of this conference. So it is like sort of the environment of Middle Eastern sort of architecture. And I tell you in a second how this is, the architecture is like basically the environment of the game is being built. Getting back to the controller is that basically when you press this pedal that you saw in the video that people go there, they press with their foot on this pedal and the game starts. So the ball falls down and then you have the control of the ball to move it forward. And then you need to basically go through this path. You need to overcome some challenges. And for example, one of the challenges here is another robot waiting for you that you need to pass this certain level. And this robot has a tiny basket. You need to go above this basket. I mean, if I had two robots right now, I could play it. And then you need to go inside some of these tiny balloons, and then you need to basically go forward to basically, I don't know, finish the game over, which is the final part is somewhere over here. And the game, the environment itself is sort of, it has some hidden places that when you pass those hidden regions, you get some scores, and you have to collect all these scores to be the winner. And of course, you should be there as short as possible. But getting back to the scene itself, how the scene is being built is basically, I'm using generally the physics engine of the Stride. It's just basically another nugget that you have to basically reference it, and then you can make things as colliders. We have different colliders, like a static collider, dynamic collider, and those pinkish magenta that you see the environment, they are static colliders. And I tell you how you basically build them. And these regions that, for example, this sort of square over here that you see is a frame, wireframe red one. They are this region, for example, here the counter starts. If you pass it over here, you get one of the scores. If you pass the other one, and so on and so forth. Then one of the challenges was how to build such a thing. Where the first idea is that you use Blender or I don't know, Rhino. You put the whole scene there, and then you bring it over here. You make it. You press a few clicks, and magically you make everything also as a collider. But it's not that easy. Also, it doesn't make sense to make the whole scene as a collider because first of all, it's a little expensive. Second of all, it doesn't really make sense because there are some areas that the player doesn't even go there. Why would you make it a collider? And you spend a lot of time. And also, for example, if you see this column over here that I'm going to zoom in there, the only way that you can interact with it is this tiny area over here. So why would that be the whole thing should be a collider? So I decided to make the colliders by hand. And in the beginning, it was like, okay, that's going to be a lot of work. But then afterwards, it became very intuitive because I realized that the scene itself also has to be adjusted while you are playing the game. Because I don't know, it was, for me, the experience was that I built the game and I was playing it myself. And I was like, okay, actually, I think I need another thing here. Or I need to put tiny Easter egg here. And I didn't want to go back to a Blender or to a Rhino or whatever and edit the whole scene and render it and export it and then come back here, import it, etc., etc. So also I decided to make the scene in V4, basically in the editor. And I just made like an asset loader, a tiny tool that I'll show you in a bit later. And then with that asset, there's a tiny menu. You can choose what you want, and then you click, it appears on the scene, and you can move it around. It's like a tiny IMGUI, etc., etc. Same thing with the colliders. Allow me not to do it here because it's a channel that automatically saves the whole scene into a XML file, and I was lazy enough not to make a new one somewhere, so I don't want to mess with this. But I have a tiny proof of concept beside that I can show you later. If there is no question here, I can move on. 2 more minutes and then I will be over. Is that a yes?
2:45. So
yeah,
45, okay.
Just a very quick question. Given that like there's a Stride integration with the Stride like game editor, right, and scenes, what made you decide to stick to just putting everything in vvvv and not using that?
I think one of the things was that I didn't want to leave the environment and go somewhere and come back. That was the first thing. And the second thing was that a lot of the changes happened during the conference that when I was getting feedback from the people. Also, like the audience there are sort of a trained audience. Like they know how to handle robots on one side, and the other side is like there is a potential that they are out of every 3 person, 2 of them are geeks and they are really familiar with gaming and etc. So they had really good feedbacks. And for example, the interaction with the robot is something that I wish we could talk about it here a bit more, that the integration that using these 2 robots as the interface, it's not just that you can move them around. Those robots are smart enough that they can even stream for you the torque of each axis. So how hard do you push it? So I also have that integrated. So for example, you could turn the ball around itself. If you would do like a tiny twist with your hand, like back and forth. So you could get familiar with this and get very competitive.
Nice.
That's why I wanted to have everything in one environment, and even at some point not even going through the patch. So having a tiny interface to do that. So basically, let me just stop this one and start the other one. Run. Ooh. So as you see here, I'm just showing the primitive one. This is basically how I make the colliders over here. So like they are just some of the primitives there. So let's click on a box. The box appears in the middle. Let's say I want to have a cylinder as well. And over here, I want to have a sphere, right? And then you have basically a list of those items that you created. Let's say I want the box to move a little up, changing its position over there. And maybe we can rotate it a little bit. And then I want to bring the sphere next to it. And that would be basically a collider for one of the scenes, right? And at some point, if you think that you want to change this, then you have the name on top of them, as you saw in the previous scene. You see, like, okay, when I play with that, this should change a little bit. And also with the physics, you know, especially when the protagonist is a ball, it can get stuck in corners and these things that you don't like, it starts twisting around itself. You have to reset the force, etc., etc. So you want to have it as smooth as possible. So you want to be able to, on the go, edit things that basically you missed while you were designing them. That's why, for example, the tiny interface as such was the most intuitive, rather than going inside the channel, finding where is your record and where the data has been saved, and then writing it there, and then setting it. Basically, you could just do all of them there. And the same thing that is, you don't see it here in the other patch. You also have another menu that shows you a tiny snapshot of basically all the other assets that you have, that you can even choose. I want the bridge, I want a tower, I want a castle, etc., etc. And then you can basically create them and build them. Was it too much? Was it too long?
Perfect. Amazing.
Cool.
Super interesting
Thanks.
work. I remember you showing it to us back in Link and even having a go at it, at some previous version of it. Super cool. Nice to see the project came to life finally. So yeah, amazing. Thanks for sharing. Also, it looks super nice, like the lighting and everything is.
Thanks so much. Thanks. You're being kind. Also, one other thing is that there will be another conference very soon that we are going to show this project there. And of course, for the next one, I'm going to change the scenery because now it's easy to do that. And it's going to be a bit more European, the whole architecture environment. And now I have decided that maybe it can have different levels. You know, like the first level is Abu Dhabi, the second level is the other one. And then when you finish the game, it goes to the next level. So that is, I don't know how much I'm going to be spending time on this, but at some point, I mean, currently it's fun, and let's see how it goes. Questions?
Amazing. Yeah, do we have any questions for Amir from Berlin, from Vienna, from YouTube, from Element? Anybody? Comments, compliments?
Can you share one of the Easter eggs you've put in? You've mentioned you're putting in like little details.
Little Easter eggs?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if I want to say. Yeah. So the thing is that, for example, over here, you have to go over this, basically over the basket of this robot there. And some people, they think that they can jump off over there on the left side. But this door here is closed. I can turn this off. So the door here is closed, so you cannot go there. But then if you spin your ball against this door for 3 seconds, you will jump on the other side of this on the other side of this column. But only you should be able to, I mean, I should know it, and then you should, it never happened to anyone. So maybe that was not the best Easter egg ever. So I was using it myself in debugging purposes to go on the other side. But yeah.
Now it's out in the world.
Little cheats. Nice.
Yeah, the little cheats. Yeah, true. Yeah.
Super cool. Awesome. Do we have anyone else?
Beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Amir. I hope we get to play this live at some point, maybe in Berlin, or somewhere else.
Yeah, maybe we should make an Xbox version of it.
Or next Link,
of course.
I don't know.
Yeah. Or you should just come to Linz.
Sounds good as well. Thank you so much for sharing. Amazing stuff. Love it.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Good one. Cool. So up next, well, first of all, remind you that if you want to join us on Zoom, you can. If you want to comment or something, ask something live, or just get a bit of a nicer resolution on your video feed, you can do that. The links are on Element. We are also live on YouTube, and we are checking the chat on YouTube, on Element, and on Zoom as well. So feel free to join in and pitch in. Up next, we have Bessie, who I personally haven't met, but I know Czech wanted to make, well, wanted to make a small introduction. So, Czech, are you with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes. So the stage is yours.
Just wanted to take the chance to shortly introduce Bessie as somebody who took part in the beginner's class. I think it was half a year ago. And we met in the choreographic coding lab, end of 23, I guess it was. And she told me back then that she needs some kind of a tool for her master thesis, which is about visualization and sensors. And I thought, yeah, maybe you should sign up for the beginner's course. And yeah, she then did the master with it. And I asked her to do a presentation about it today. So I'm very glad that she's doing it and looking forward to the presentation.
Amazing. Always happy to have newcomers. So welcome to the V4 community, Bessie. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Yeah, I will share my screen.
Okay, I'll start your 10-minute timer now.
So, yes, so I'm Bessie. I live in Cologne, and yeah, as Christoph said, I did my master last year, and last year was like my V4 year. I studied at KISS, that's the Köln International School of Design, and in my master thesis, so maybe to my background, I'm a graphic designer. I did or do mostly editorial design, and at KISS I started doing more motion design and learned new tools, 3D tools, and for my master thesis I was looking for a topic, and I was frustrated with the situation that I sit in front of a computer all day, and that was basically my starting point. I think when I started my topic, I didn't really fully grasp that I will do a deep dive into computer history and build my own tools and learn coding and everything. So I had the question, how can I get movement into the layout process, like the desktop publishing, to make it more dynamic? And I started the V4 class in winter 2023. And yes, so I will show a little video. It's like about 1.5 minutes. I will maybe skip a little bit of the end just to see the interactive installation I did, because it was like a room installation. I did my own tools with which you could control with your body to basically lay out a poster on the big screen you see on this picture. So yeah, I will start the video and then I will show you a little bit the behind the scenes.
Cool.
There is no sound.
It's pretty.
You need to share the screen with sound.
It's
So you have to unshare and share again.
okay. Now I have. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, normally it's like a setting you can check when you share screen on Zoom.
Yeah, I have to do a password, but I don't know the password for what I have to.
Great. But never mind if you say the sound is not important.
Yeah, you can talk over it and tell us what we should know, I guess.
Okay, I think now.
Now there's sound. Yes.
I made it quite low, actually. It just it doesn't say anything. It's just to show you like background music. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that showed you like how it looked like in action. And to give you an idea about the setup, so I built the tools which resemble shapes and also remind you of like workout gear. And each of them had sensor and an ESP32 with a battery, and they were communicating over MQTT network with my software, which I programmed in before. And in the end, when everything was ready, a screenshot was made of the final poster, and then it was printed out, and people could take it home. I will show you step by step with what shape was responsible for what action in before, and I will end up with some screenshots of my V4 patch. So one big part of the thesis was also like sensor research and material studies. So maybe also interesting for you to know that I didn't have any prior coding experience. Like I had some knowledge about HTML and CSS, but the beginner class was the first time I got in contact with V4 and this kind of coding. And yes, also I wanted to integrate the sensors as much as possible into the objects, that you have like a really haptical feeling, and get away from this monotonous human-computer interaction and have more like an haptic and emotional experience. So I tried a lot of things with like my own sensors, and I used also some standard sensors like push buttons and accelerators. So you start in the interactive installation with inputting the typography, which you do over speech-to-text AI. Maybe some of you know me from the blog, because I was like asking a lot of questions last year at the beginning of the year. Yes, and next step, you rotate the ring and you can choose your font size, font family and font style. And you can insert images. So it's like the basic desktop publishing steps you do translated into movements and objects. And then you can change the pixel status, like the resolution of the pictures, by hugging this tube. And in the end, the layout is changed by jumping as long as you want until you're ready. And then you have to balance about 8 seconds. And if you manage not to fall off, you make a screenshot, and it is then automatically sent to the printer and printed out. So you can, it's like a software where you can, basically design a poster by using your body, doing sport, and be active. And yeah, I think probably I forgot a lot of things, but yeah, that's my patch.
Very clean patch too. Amazing.
So yeah, it was a journey. It was a lot of things to learn.
People are happy with your straight lines. Look at that. You're getting a round of applause in the background. Very, very, very good job. Check as a teacher as well, I would say. Yeah,
so if you have questions, that's my project of my master thesis. It was a lot of fun, but also very stressful. So I'm happy about everything I learned, but it was also very stressful learning something new under pressure and realizing everything I had in my mind. And yeah, thank you very much again to Christoph, because he helped me a lot. And also to the V4 community who helped me in the blog entries and everything. You were very fast and helped me out a lot.
Well, thank you for sharing. It's a really cool project. I really enjoyed it. It looks like a lot of fun, which is something that many interactive installations sometimes overlook in the pursuit of art and nobility. So good job remembering to bring the fun into the game. We have a YouTube comment that says, looks like much more fun than using Adobe for poster design. So you got that going for you. And Benju is asking us, which speech-to-text AI have you ended up using in the project?
It was a speech recognizer node with Azure, Microsoft Azure,
Okay.
and there was like a patch in online. I just recreated it.
Sounds like it was easy to get a handle of and copy paste
It was a
and make
bit
it work.
tricky. It didn't want to work at the beginning, but I had some help also, and at the end it was easy when it was set up. I had a little, like, as always, technical problems. Like 2 days before my presentation, it crashed and I had to do it again, and it took me a while to find the error, but yeah.
Good job. How long did you say this took you, more or less, from beginning to end?
So I started in winter 23 with the beginner class, and I think I started in February, March with the patching little by little, and then I had the presentation in June, July, end of June, beginning of July, yeah. So
super cool.
Perfect.
Looks like we have some questions from the Berlin table.
Yeah, amazing. I like the project a lot, especially for the short time. But what I'm very interested, how you came to vvvv. So how you get it known? Because it's why not touch designer or something else?
Because by chance I met Christoph and he convinced me that it has to be V4. So what he said is like, my professor, Nina Juric, she invited me to the choreographic coding lab last summer, I think it's September or something. And that's where I met Christoph, and it was the beginning of the idea of my master thesis. And then he made a little introduction about V4, and he made it sound very easy to get into it and not to use something else. And then
was it that easy in the end, or was it just a sales pitch?
No, I think it was. I mean, it was. I had like a little. At the beginning, when I wanted to start with it, I was very discouraged because there were not so many tutorials, and also with typography, I felt it was like I had to like really dig deep to certain points, but I think I came quite far with it in a short time. And also that because I had the connection to Christoph, and also because the community answered a lot, it felt like learning. It was a steep learning curve. And I think with other, I don't know how it would have been with Touchy Diner also, but for me it was like laid out perfectly like that, with a connection to Christoph, and also the beginner class was also very good for it.
And I think one huge problem was that you're a Mac user, right?
Oh yeah.
Just saying.
Wow.
That
You
was
have to
also
bend it
very-
around, I guess.
That was exactly what I also wanted to ask, because I saw you make. So then changing, so and what is it in future? So you still want to have it on a Mac, or it's just
So at the
because I'm
moment,
very
yeah,
impressed for
I
this
have
short time
the-
you put in everything on nearby inputs, outputs, a lot of stuff. So very, very cool. But you come from another system too.
Yeah, thank you first of all. Yeah, it was like it took me a while to have a good setup. I mean, now I still have I have a like participation. I don't know what's a boot camp. Was it that? Yeah. It took me a while. So first I tried it with, what was it? This other one, it took me a while to figure it out with everything until everything was set. I mean, and then I kind of got used to Microsoft and everything, and then it was difficult for me to go back to Apple sometimes when I was really deep in my project. Yeah, but that's what I said at the beginning. I didn't grasp that I have to learn so much about computers when I wanted to start and have do a project, because I was frustrated because I sit too much in front of the computer in the end. I sat even more in front of the computer, but I learned a lot.
Yeah, I had the same way. I'm a communication designer and dived into beta. And now when I see Gamma as a communication designer, I'm very impressed that you could handle it. Thanks a lot. And good greetings to Nina when you met her again.
Yeah, I will.
And I just,
do we have it? Sorry.
want to add that it was super inspiring also because you hit so many walls and you were super frustrated, but you really bit through, and other people would have stopped so many times during that process, especially when you hit that bootcamp thing. Was super cool to see you really pushing through. Yeah, wanted to mention this. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope I can continue with V4. I really want to. I mean, I feel like I need another project to continue with it, like find a different task, because that with the deadline, it helped me a lot to dive deep into everything and just to learn it, and learning by doing. And because I had this goal and the ideas what I want to achieve, I think that's why I learned so much in a short time.
Super. So do we have any other questions, compliments, comments? I see a round of applause. So thank you for sharing, Bessie. Thank you for joining the community. We hope that you stick around. Soon I left you a couple of useful messages on the Zoom chat, some recommendations that you might want to take a look at. And so, yeah, thank you again. Super cool project. Up next, cool. We have Bildwerk showing us a project of theirs, I believe.
Kind of. Give us a second.
Sure. In the meantime, I'll remind you, we are live on Zoom. If you want to join the call directly and interact with us on the chat, or just say something yourself, the link is in the Element vvvv chat room. We are also on YouTube, so if you want to leave your comments there or ask your questions, we are also paying attention to that. And finally, we are in person at Berlin's Node Institute and in Vienna as well. So if you're around, make sure to go by, grab a beer, some pizza and pasta, and yeah, give out some hugs and see some beautiful faces. So looks like we're ready.
Hopefully, we don't know for sure, but let's try this out. So hi from us, from Vienna. Yeah, we want to show you what we did the last 1.5 years, more or less. Not everything, but just quick, and start the timer, please.
Ooh, important, yes. Not that we've been super strict with it, but here we go.
We have this thing in Vienna this year. It's 200th birthday of a famous composer that wrote all the Austrian waltz music, you know. And the funny thing is, we have 3 new museums in Vienna now, all covering the topic of Johann Strauss or the Strauss family. And we did media installations for 2 of them. So we're gonna quickly jump over that. The first one is we're gonna show you is Johann Strauss New Dimensions. It was in collaboration with Mediapparat, and we have a short video. So that's the kind of a big project, but on the FFO side, it's more or less video players with network synchronization. It's pretty on the basic side, except the final room, and everything is 4K. So we have 35 4K screens in there, and but it's when you get down to the bottom, it's only videos we display. There is no live render content in there. Yeah, but it's open. You can go there. It's pretty nice because they use localized indoor headphone tracking from Berlin company, and so depending on where you go, the headphone starts communicating with the V4 video playback devices, and they synchronize the audio to the video content that's displayed. So, and you also get different interactive zones on the floor. And it's a really nice place. If you're in Vienna, go there and have a look at it yourself. But it's not the only one, and so I'm gonna hand over.
Gotta hand over to you for another presentation.
So that's the second Strauss Museum in Vienna. And Achim will tell you a bit more about it.
Yeah, this Strauss Museum had some more interactive parts in it. Still, it was not very complicated. Most of it was simple touch interfaces. We had one exhibit where we used AI to map the faces of the visitors into some pre-produced video footage. But all in all, yeah, the interior design was really quite nice. Yeah, and it was a pretty straightforward project. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's the point I'm here to talk about. This is a framework we've been working on for some years now. I'm gonna do a quick preview of a version that is about 1 year old now. We internally call it BVVL, but of course it's called VL.BW. inside this call right now. Work started when Corona hit, and I myself got bored and thought about things that I not really like about my daily routine inside the vvvv agency, and so I tried to come up with ways to do things quicker and faster. Okay, should I open up the patch right now? Is it already opened? Oh man, we are prepared tonight. All right, let's go. Okay, here in the last picture, maybe you saw those. What's it called? It's not coffins. It's coffer. It's suitcases. Yeah, there were some suitcases on the wall, and what you see right now is the content of one of those suitcases. Okay, I'm gonna turn on helpers. So basically, it was just an installation with a main menu, some buttons, and some content. Yeah, you can change language. Nothing pretty fancy about it. Yeah, but this was the first project that we used our framework BWL4, and now I'm gonna show you what it looks like. It's divided into multiple. So basically, we try to automate things that we do for each project, and that just take away time. And we try to incorporate all these things into a small framework. So originally, it was just planned to be used for some small stuff on the side, but then we try to use it in production, and it has been helpful ever since. Yes. All right. It implements our network control. For example, when we do projects like Leo showed you with multiple PCs, we have a Node-RED computer running somewhere, which sends control signals to all our PCs. We've got tracking for all user interactions, which can be looked up later on online in graphs and stuff like that. We've got font styles that you can use for text, like you know it from software like InDesign. Yeah, and basically the thing is pretty simple. It's about the things that come up most often in such projects. It's just about text, images, video, buttons, and moving screen designs. So, for example, this scene here. Yeah, the picture you see in the render right now. Okay. The most important thing I forgot to mention, it is all based on scenes. Yeah, we call them, of course, BV scene. Everything is BV in here, so don't mind it. Yeah, the actually backbone of the whole thing is the Automata UI, the most important contribution that was ever made to vvvv, and thank you very much for this.
Shout out to Chris.
Yeah, shout out to Chris. Everything is built around Automata UI. Yeah, so inside Automata UI, basically every Automata state matches one scene or one screen design. Yeah. For example, this here, the scene called A, which is entered directly after boot. This is the main menu. You can see it right here. I'm gonna show you how it looks inside the main menu. Yeah, most of the stuff works with enums. Yeah, and you've got some. I will do a quick patch later on. I just want to show you what it looks inside. Here you've got the
20 seconds in theory. Just saying.
I will do my best. Images and Basically, it works kind of like Skier or other frameworks you're used to, with the only exception that it also does the resource handling, yeah, like reading the images, preloading images into VRAM, and stuff like that. Yeah. So that you yourself don't have to care about if everything works. Everything also works in regions. Here I have for each scene. Here I have a for each region and insert the BV scene. So basically, this thing here holds all the contents, yeah, that you can see here inside the automata. Yeah, looks a little bit messy, but in the end, it was still faster doing it this, like patching it by hand. Yeah, and now I'm gonna show you how I can add a scene to this. For example, here make a new test. We are allowed to go there from the main menu. And insert here, I create a VW scene. Here it is. Then the scene has an enum. I can select the newly created automata state, new test. Mention to the vvvv group, it would be nice if custom regions could hold namings for the pins. But if you copy and paste, it still works. And now I place here an image and text. Oops. Combine them. And now I quickly head back to the menu. So basically, all of our nodes work in standard spread logic. Maybe place a button here. Yes, so here we have a button. You can also use text inside the button. You can choose different button styles, which are text styles, which are defined here. And then we can tell this button, okay, on click, please go to the newly created scene. Mm-hmm. So, and now we are there. Wow. And same goes here. You can select different pictures. Hey, it really worked great until now. So I already
not a demo if it doesn't fail. Yeah.
I think we also run out of time.
Yeah. No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, well, we get the idea. Quite flexible. It's taking care of a lot of things behind the scenes for you. It's custom tailored to your experience working in the field for quite a while. Seems very powerful.
Exactly. And one thing that I wanted to mention is, because I did not want to restrict anyone when, I mean, our node set does not cover all use cases, and because of this, and because I did not want to hinder anybody to use standard libraries, our scenes also take standard objects from Skier, for example. So either you can use BFIL nodes for the standard stuff, or if you have something more complicated, you can still use Skier. And the whole thing also works in 3D with Stride. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you can. So this is the old version. I did a pretty. I did a larger rework of it. Yeah, but it has an agnostic input interface. So it takes touch screens, LiDAR, leap motion right now at the moment. Yeah, the idea was to optimize our workflow. Here you can see while it when it boots up, it tells you which kind of assets it found.
Yeah, log built in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
and also one interesting thing to mention is that we have some exhibits that run multiple instances of BWL builds on one machine and one screen. Yeah, so that's also an option because we needed it for Strauss Haus, yes. Haus Strauss, sorry. Namings do matter here in Vienna, yes.
So,
Okay, shall we call that 20 seconds? Yeah?
Perfect. Yes, perfectly. Thank you very much.
Amazing timing. Cool. Super cool. Do we have any questions, comments? Any questions from the public? Any comments over there? I mean, it looks super powerful. My question would be, is this something you intend to share at some point? It looks very specific to your workflows and whatnot, but is that the intention at some point, or is it going to remain under the door,
I think
behind the door?
One of the ideas why we wanted to show it to you and the world is to open up more or less the discussion about internal frameworks, maybe, because I think every bigger V4 company has got something like that. And so, yeah, I don't know, there's no clear path forward for us regarding sharing or not, but we are definitely open for discussion.
Interesting. Maybe we should hold some sort of internal framework Olympics once every 4 years. Every company brings their internal tools. We see what makes sense, and we make that into a public nougat or something. But no, super cool. My other question was, as far as the first exhibit you showed us, how long is that running for in Vienna, if people were interested in seeing it?
Gonna stay open for at least the next 3 years. And also the other installation we showed you is permanent. We wanted to actually show you a third one that's in Bonn right now, that's open for the next 6 months, so you can go there and visit it as well.
Okay, so there's some time for you, people in Vienna or people traveling by, to look at the work. Thank you so much, Bildwerk. I loved both presentations, and I think if we don't have any more questions, let's give him a round of applause, and thank you so much for sharing. Super cool. So with that, we have reached the first half of our presentations, and it's time for us to take a little break. So what are we saying, 10, 15?
10?
10? Yeah, okay. Let's make it
the
quick.
famous 20 seconds.
Yes, let's make it 20 meetup seconds. Before we leave you, we have some comments from Benju here. He says, just to add to the point made before by Sia around Apple on Bessie's project, he can confirm that we need to have a V4 editor in Mac OS to have more communication with designers and get more people onboarded on that front. I think this is something that has been discussed quite often, and I think the devs are quite aware, but it's always good to knock on that door again, just to keep the conversation going. So see you in 10 minutes. Grab a drink, grab a smoke, grab some fresh air. We'll be back at exactly 21 hours Berlin. So see you then. And I'll leave you with a little trivia if you're bored looking at this at home. There's a few hidden V4 related objects in my background. So see how many of them you can find if you're bored. And we'll see you in 10. Bye.
Sounds fun.
Yep, plenty of beer.
Yeah, everyone is not there yet in Berlin, but I think we can still start. They are aware it's gonna come. Start again.
Can barely make out what you're saying, Maxi.
Yeah, I think it's because you're speaking too much in the background. I'm saying we can start again. People are aware it's gonna start again.
Okay, that's good.
Yes. Hello. Thank you. We are kind of in the middle of something here, gentlemen. Please. Okay.
Stage is yours.
So, welcome back. We are
Welcome.
slowly regrouping back in Berlin, but we're gonna carry on again. So I hope you enjoyed your break. Welcome back. We are again on our 26th vvvv meetup. Join us on YouTube or Zoom. I mean, if you're listening to these, you must be here somewhere. But in any case, we are on the Element chat. We are on the Zoom call. We are on the YouTube chat. Send your questions, comments, or just anything that you think you need to share. So up next, we have Dom J sharing with us a project I hear. So welcome, Dom J. Good to have you back. The stage is yours.
Happy to be here. Hello, everyone. Let's see if I can keep it to the real 10 minutes. What I want to present, let me see if I can share my screen. Screen number 2, share sound and optimize for video sharing, at least at the beginning. I would like to show you this project I've started to work on. It's a collaboration with Jakub Nepraš, who is a Prague-based multimedia artist. He's mostly known for his video mapping installations that usually he builds a sculpture from all sorts of different materials, usually kind of feels kind of organic, and then combines it with this digital element of the video mappings. Also lately he's been using more AI elements in his video pieces and integrating all of that. He's doing a lot of custom animation and has had his sculptures displayed in many places, not just around Prague but also around the world. In this latest project called Laniakea, which is part of exhibition called Hydropolis. Hydropolis because it is actually part of a water tower, or like this kind of infrastructure object. So in this latest installation, he's trying to bring a bit more interactivity into that. So he has been working for in many kind of places with this like visual language. The zoom doesn't work. Let's do like this. With sort of these like delayed frames and tiles, and he's been usually doing it using After Effects, and it's quite a painstaking process. And obviously, if you want to add some sort of real-time element to it, that becomes a bit problematic. And I just want to show you these two more short videos, just so you have an idea what it is that he's trying to build. And essentially, in this new installation, he wants to incorporate real-time inputs using cameras and microphones. So basically, whatever is going to be happening in front of this so-called portal is that it will then start to travel through these tubes, which also really work with the idea of water flowing through it, which fits the theme of the whole exhibition. And in the and there's multiple rooms that this object is going to be traveling through. And now the question becomes how to actually pull it off, right? Like what tools to use. And in the end, let me just also show you this picture, right? It's like multi-room installation combined with like four 4 projectors in each room, and 2 speakers. So how to pull it off? What tools to use? Right, we need to basically capture the camera. We need to do this delay effect, and we need to be able to actually edit it and also kind of on location adjust to all, you know, you put the projectors, you need to actually adjust what they project and be able to fine tune everything. So we kind of decided that there really isn't, you know, any standard tool that could pull this off, and we decided to build it from scratch using vvvv.
Wow.
And I would like to I'm about to show you that tool. Let me bring up the patch. We've seen many patches. This is another one today. And
beautiful, clean and simple. Love it.
Yeah, I think I've kind of outdone myself compared to previous works. Also, one thing. So I will demo the application, which looks like this, and then I will show a little bit of the patch. I want to focus on two things in particular, which is how this tiling works, and also I've used global patches quite extensively to actually help keep the patch clean.
Global channels, I guess you mean, yeah?
Whatever I said, I meant global channels, yes. Global channels, and basically it allows me to avoid a lot of direct links. I've done a project before with ImGUI UI and persistence and kind of things, you know, being connected to other places in the application, and I didn't use global channels, and then the whole thing was very, very, very busy. I had to route things out of ImGUI inside, and in this approach, basically I use a global channel for the main state, and then anything that needs to access it accesses it from there, and also the configuration writes directly into these global channels, and there is basically persistence that does loading and saving, and all of these elements are basically decoupled, right? And I can add these different modules that provide me this functionality. So let's just quickly dive into what the application offers right now. As a quick disclaimer, it's still in progress, in development. The installation hasn't been done yet, so that's also why I'm only showing you these mock-ups. And I just remember that I also have a video somewhere, so I will load it up in the meantime of the testing. And so let's see, like what did we kind of agree to do, like how to approach it. Basically each one projector output is a canvas. This canvas can be created dynamically. Let me get rid of the zoom thing. Right, so there are all these elements can be edited and removed dynamically. So even though we kind of know what the installation is gonna have, and you know, it's gonna have 12 outputs in total. It's usually for me when I work it kind of makes sense to just build the things quite, you know, generic and dynamic, and then it covers from the testing environment to the final quite well. And also I wanted to point out that yeah, let's whatever, skip that. And so we have these canvases. I can add a new one. Basically what happens also is each canvas will have an output window. Also we needed to have the ability to use tiled output, essentially a 4-in-1 output, because the installation actually uses HDMI splitters. So there's the ability to do both of that. All of that is dynamic. If we go over 4 canvases, another window will appear. and I just added the guide, right? So now I have two output windows of four each. And when we have a canvas, we can create so-called guides within them. And these guides basically define the path for the tiles to go through. In this preview window, we can always see the current canvas that we're editing. But again, we always have all the outputs actually coming out, right, for the final output. And this is the editor where you can adjust everything. Now, let's say I'm in the, I have a guide, I can edit it. By the way, huge shout out to Maxime, who was just working on adding a spline editor functionality, like a Bezier spline editor functionality to the editing framework, exactly at the time that I needed it for this project. So the stars have aligned, and it gave me like a great boost in working on this. And if we want to create a new line, right? Let's say we're in Canvas 2, I'm adding a guide. Now it has no points. I can select it. Selecting the guide activates the canvas. We can see it here. And now I can double click and basically work with this Bezier editor to start defining the path. Also, as we said, right, there's the cameras that are feeding it all in, and then the path like starts from one place, and it can then continue to others. So then I can set a continuation guide, but I will get to it in a moment. So once we have this guide, we can actually define more of the shape. Right, we can go and maybe change the size of the tiles. Also change the speed that we'll have on the delaying. Right, so maybe I want the whole thing to go faster. But
just a quick note: we are entering the 20-second domain, just so you know.
All right, we are also okay. So I will do a 5-minute to 20-second. I apologize. But also we can have sort of parameterized, across the duration of the path. So let's say I wanted to start small, but then actually go big. So I can do all of these shapes. Also change the speed along the path. Also the density of the tiles. So let's say I just want them to be like, becoming kind of less and less over time. So I can do all of that. And as I said, I can also like continue from one path to another, and set offset, and so on. And there's also some basic kind of texturing effects on the camera, so we can adjust the final look and feel. And like as a final feature, there is also the audio part, which takes in a microphone, and that's the one most in progress right now. And microphone, and that's the one most in progress right now. Okay, and microphone, and that's the one most in progress right now. And microphone, and that's the one most in progress right now. Microphone. Let me stop that. And the way that works is that basically we're recording like a looping buffer. So using VL.Audio, and then that will start to travel across the paths. What I still need to work on is this like multi-channel mixing that we'll have. Right now it's just stereo, but basically it spawns like the loop, and it will start to travel, and it's sort of in sync with the action that's happening. Cool. That's happening there. So let's say if I just make it, that's happening there. So let's say if I just make it, and I think that pretty much covers the functionality. And for those two quick things, with the actual like rendering of the tiles and how to put them in. So I had a bit of a trouble that when I just when I just sample a Bezier spline with like a position with no like, let's say I have a linear spread and I sample it, which would be the simplest approach. What happens is that actually with if I have a control point like this and I make it long, then actually the travel here is going to be faster and the tiles are not going to be spread evenly. So in the end, I have solved that by having this is where the cleanliness didn't really make it. But basically, I have this iterative process where I'm stepping, and I'm trying to find like the moment that I get to the distance that I want to get to, which is based on the density and on the size of the tiles that I define. Then I will kind of say, you know, okay, set it and let's go to the next. So in this kind of procedural way, everything gets filled in and looks very even and tidy. And regarding the like state and the configuration, right? So I basically have one node that just defines the global channel of the state with a default that gets created at the beginning. This is then used, as I said, within all the different configurations using ImGUI. So we'll have, let's say, in the output widget, right? Like I'm getting the state channel and then I'm selecting and adjusting it. I've noticed one thing here that if I select a channel and then select it again, it will actually not propagate back to adjusting the top level. So I'm working always with like full kind of path until the end of it, until the last record, and then adjusting that. So we can see these format nodes that I have the full path and then work with that and that way everything works. And as I said, with this setup, I'm then able to have persistence completely independent of everything. And this one little node handles both loading and automatic saving. So I'm basically, if I load and I have the persistence file, I will set it on the channel. And otherwise, I'm watching on the channel and I'm watching on changes on the serialized output because I wasn't really able to avoid changes even when nothing was really changing. It still felt like a new value that's being set due to kind of different places that modify it. So I'm using here a serialize and then actually looking at the string itself changed, and if it does, I'm going to save that. And I think that's about it. I can show quickly the audio handling. I think this is kind of fun. I have the audio loop, which basically is really using just the buffers. I've noticed that this is not play, but it's pay. Maybe like a little notice on the trust model, I'm not sure. And that's I think about what I've wanted to show. So if there's any questions, I would be happy to answer.
And that's 20 seconds on the dot. Okay. Thank you for that. Really cool. I can almost guarantee Sebastian is going to have some comments around the global channel, having to check the serialized output change thing. That's just me guessing. Is this, I mean, it looks very powerful. Is this something you intend to eventually share as a public tool, or do you think it's too specific for the use case?
I would say it's too specific, even though I've had a lot of fun just playing around with it and testing. You can get some interesting artworks with I haven't shown it right now, but when you make everything very contrasty and kind of black and white, and you can get very interesting things. It's like it is a commission, and we would have to discuss that with the artists. So far, there isn't really a plan to share it. It's specific to this, and I believe he will also use it in other places, because, as I said, this is kind of like his visual language that he can basically now reuse it, and it's so much faster compared to the After Effects workflow, where he's just working with layers and then, you know, like moving things frame by frame basically, and adjusting everything. And here you just move a little thing and everything adjusts completely automatically. But we'll see. Maybe it will be a nice tool if we find the right model to share it. We could possibly.
Super cool. Do we have any questions, comments, anything from the public? Vienna, Berlin, anyone?
What is it about this Bessie editor?
Say again?
I just wanted to throw the topic Bessie editor maybe once again in here, because here is sitting Maxime. You said you based on his work. Maybe there is some improvements over there.
It's just like the work that Johannes did in beta. Oh no, you ported like the point editor from beta to gamma. Yeah, and it was missing basically the Bessie editor from beta to gamma. And I just did it also at the same time that Damji was actually also asking for it. So that was just it.
It's like it's in the same way as the current point editor, right? And as Maxime is saying, it's using all the same kind of mechanics of the beta one. So it's just super nice to have that option, because for a project like this, it's really good for anything that needs following Beziers, maybe even, you know, camera paths and so on. It's like, yeah, I think that we all know that the editing framework is still kind of in its infancy, and one thing to note here, I actually haven't used the like built-in persistence of the editor. What I have done is basically push everything into the global state, and that actually persisted. So I have a like mechanics that just adds the nodes manually on whatever path I'm selecting here and editing. So I always have one kind of editor that's active, and I feed it with a different path, and like it may be nicer to have something that's more like flexible and generic, and we can maybe add, you know, custom widgets. But this is like 1,000 times better than not having anything, and you can get any really editing that you want out of it with the different point paths, selecting more things, undo, and so on. So I think it's really great to have that.
A quick, well, I don't know if it's a quick one, but a question from me, more from the nerdy architect software side. What would you say were the clear benefits and issues you found from shifting your architecture to a global channel approach?
So since it supports pretty much any data type and you know, passing things around, I have like working with it has been mostly just pleasant. You also have the manager, right, for global channels. So you even have like an overview, which here I didn't really figure out how to visualize properly like custom properties. One drawback is, I think, the same that would come with, you know, using a singleton. Is that now the whole application is kind of tied to a single state. I would have to add some sort of namespacing if I wanted to have a separate sort of instance of everything. So that I would say is my main drawback. But other than that, it's really pleasant to work with. I've also on another project I'm helping with. I've used this global channel mechanism to basically sniff on the side to be able to record everything that's happening and then play it back. Which is useful for like non-real-time recording scenarios, and they just like offer this you know, nice architecture to bring things in and also list everything that's now available. So mostly just positives, to be honest.
Cool. All right. Well, hang on. Stream feedback. The whole picture became yellowish. Yes, I noticed that on YouTube. So sorry, Domjik, this is not about you now. We have like a sepia tint on the YouTube feed now. I mean, I know it's delayed. Is this about it being in the past or something, maybe? But yeah, there's something going on with the YouTube feed's image white tone.
It's
for
fixed.
the.
It's fixed.
Okay.
Yes.
I was checking Nightlight on my side, but it's if it's not that, it's not that.
So back to you, Domjik. Thank you. Very cool. I really enjoyed the presentation.
Right.
Very cool project. Very cool software.
I forgot to share when I was doing the changes. So just yeah, I wanted to show, right, we have all these options to do different point types and so on. So it is very flexible and gives you any sort of path that you want. That's nice.
Cool. We have Benju asking if this curve editor is something that you plan to publish. But if I understood you properly, this is something that Maxime was already put out there, no?
Yeah,
Go for it.
It's in the element chat, but I think Maxime also discussed if maybe it would be good to just put it back into the contrib and make it part of the main point editor. But it's mainly, I guess, for him or Jurek or whoever is responsible for this library if they want to pull it in. The code is, it's very much aligned with the point editor, so it's basically just an approval process, I think, away to push it in, and then it will be available for everyone, which would be amazing.
Yes, we're getting some love for it on the YouTube chat already. People loving the spline editor, Bessie editor, sorry. And we also have Toby K joining in late. Good to have you, man. Yeah, thanks, Domjik. That was a really nice one.
Thank you. I also see a comment from Matthias that there is actually a library for this fitting. So yeah, always good to find a library. VL2D curve fitting. I will check it out. Thank you, Matthias.
There we have it. Okay. And now let me check my agenda again. So up next we have Simone Marinotta showing us a project.
Hi.
Hi. Hey.
Hi.
Nice to have you. Nice to meet you too.
I'm Simone. I'm Italian. I'm a student of new technologies of art at the Brüll Academy of Fine Art in Milan. I think I'm the youngest here.
Probably.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just wanted to show you my project. I do not have like a background in coding or whatever, but I have a strong background in human science and philosophy, sociology, and stuff. So I decided to merge computer graphics and philosophy using vvvv, and this work has been selected for the Italian National Art Award 2024, and that's it. I'm gonna share my screen now. Just a sec. Okay, this one. Okay. You should be able to see now the screen, right?
Yes. We see a text, yes.
Yeah. I don't want to explain all the concept and the synopsis, but I'm just like, we'll just like try to explain a little bit the idea behind the process. So the name of the project is Shifting Selves. It is related to the theme of the identity in the digital world. Differently from the physical world, where everyone has just a single identity. In the digital world, I or you can, for example, create multiple accounts. For example, every one of us has many emails, many accounts, can be wherever and whoever he wants. So we decided me and a friend of mine, whose name is Leonardo, we decided to do a live performance, creating a particle system. That is this one. You can have the photos here. So we scanned with Polycam and one face, and then we like using the help of Takuna Nakata, yeah, on YouTube, and also thanks to the VL Fuse, all the nuggets and stuff, the team behind Fuse, and we just realized that this live performance that we had the pleasure to perform in Milan. Yeah, I have video here. So basically, it starts with the physical identity. So like where you can see just one man that is like rotating, and then can you also sound? We also.
I don't think we can hear it. I think you have to enable the sound sharing when you share your
But
screen.
it's not a big problem also because it's just a granular sound that is the translation of the particle system in the sound system. So it's just a normal granular sound. So starting from the physical shape of the real world, then it will transform in multiple identities. So the shape of the human body in the digital world, it is really hard to be recognized. So it just turns around until you can even recognize yourself and your identity in the digital world, and then it will finish with when you come back to the physical world with your shape, and that's it.
Cool.
And here is the performance at the Ethereum 2024 in Milan, where we used 5 screens to show, and that's it. We had a mini controller here. We used the plugin of the MIDI controller in order to control the movements that I used to practice here, and that's it. With the MIDI controller, I was able to like I don't know how to say it in English, to transform the shape of the human body, and that's it. And near me in this like desktop, in this mixer, my friend is mixing the sound in real time according to my movements.
Cool.
And that's it. This is the project, and those are some frames, yeah, from the project itself. And that's it.
Aesthetically, it's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an attempt to merge something that is really rude, really mathematical, like coding, and like something like a philosophy. So it's more like an artistic approach rather than a mathematical approach. Yeah, maybe it's not really hard to realize like what I've seen so far that is like it's freaking me out, but that is a different approach.
You remind me a little bit of the spirit of Nathan in some ways, like very focused on the art and philosophy aspect of things. Super cool. Thank you for sharing, Simone. So I have a few questions for you already. Like, how did you end up in the vvvv world? How did that happen?
Because our professor of computer graphics started talking about vvvv, so I started to like searching on the internet, and then I understood that the particle systems in general can translate the situation we are living in. So like the theme of the world that is nothing, it is digital, that you cannot touch, you cannot feel, and the particle system gives me this idea, you know, better than like a physical shape, but this idea of something that you cannot really touch, you cannot really see. That's why.
Cool. Okay, so the particle system somehow felt like the right medium to express this concept of yours. Interesting. And then you said, okay, I like this. I will learn how to do it. That sounds like a big
yeah. That's like, in fact, I don't know anything about vvvv apart from particle systems. That's kind of weird, but I mean, you need to start somewhere.
Super cool. Do we have any questions from Simone from the audience? I mean, the project's super cool. And the fact that he just jumped into it with no real technical background is quite impressive. Anything for anyone? People are becoming shy. It's getting late. But yeah, I found it really interesting. Oh, here we go.
Please share your link. Sorry.
People want your website. I mean, you can see it over
Please share your link and your video in the element chat, and maybe also as a comment on YouTube.
Wait, okay, yeah.
One small question. Who is the vvvv professor in Milan?
Who is the vvvv professor?
Yeah.
Yeah, his name is Manuel Ehrenfeld.
Manuel. I know him. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
Cool. So he's still going for V4. That's good to hear. Well, shout out to Manuel, sending young spirits our way still for so many years. Amazing. Super cool. Thank you for sharing, Simone, and welcome to the community. I'm happy to hear that you found views and the chat and the forums useful to help you in this journey. So super cool. Tom J has a question, I think.
It's not a question. But, I mean, the project, like as I said, it's like the style is super nice. I just edited the video. I said it I will show, but didn't show from the last thing. So whoever is interested, but yeah, did you encounter any any like much difficulties in getting around the concepts of MIDI and kind of getting in it, or it was quite intuitive for you?
Of MIDI in general? No. No, of MIDI in general, no, because I just found out the patch. I copy-pasted it, honestly, and then I connected the MIDI and I tried to set all the controls, and it was not really hard, and just 2 or 3 notes in order to try to understand which value I wanted to transform, I wanted to modify, and it was not really hard.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. I hope to see more from you.
All right, well. Thank you again, Simone. Amazing stuff.
Thank you.
Super cool. And hope to see you soon again with a new idea, maybe. So yeah. Up next, what have we got? I think we're getting close to the end. Oh, but look at this. We have none other than Mozzi himself, Matthias, one of our favorite users from long ago. What do you have to show us today, Matthias?
My heart
Tell me all about it.
Right, I got something to share with you that I should have done actually years ago, but I never really found the time to do the necessary cleanup so that it's actually kind of usable and still a little bit dirty, but you know, time is a problem that I do not have, or I do have since I have kids. Now, actually, you know, some of you know that I'm also teaching at the University of Applied Sciences in St. Pölten, and we all love to work with Kinects and all these, you know, spatial tracking devices. And we very often have the problem in our courses that we don't have enough devices to have the entire class play around with it. So it's quite a stupid thing to kind of, you know, share devices because there's always, you know, somebody waiting for it. And I mean, there's been floating ideas around for many years already, and different users have found different solutions to this problem of sharing like the stuff from one device to several users, for instance, or the other way around. And I would like to show you my approach because I kind of started, I don't know, it was surely 5 or 6 years ago. It was even in beta times to build something around to kind of, you know, distribute stuff from tracking devices over the network. What I would like to show you today is, where's the screen sharing button in here? It is
the big green one at the bottom.
Yeah, the big one that says share. Huh? Is this?
That one. That's that one.
Screen. So, okay. What I wanted to share with you is something I developed, which I called VL.Espace or eSpace or whatever. Espace is French for just space, or eSpace is electronic space. Well, it turned out to get into a direction where it's kind of, a tool set for doing spatial applications, and it's far from being what I intended it to be, but there's some stuff in there that is already working. So just to keep to the 20 seconds that I got here, what is it about? Well, usually you have like these kinds of situations when working with tracking devices. On the one hand, you have like one device that you might want to share to multiple computers, which is not possible because you usually have those connected over USB. It was just recently that like devices that have PoE for tracking were becoming available. That's one problem that you usually have. The other way around is the same thing. Sometimes you want to have like multiple devices that end up in one computer, which is possible for the newer Azure Connects. Well, they're dead already, but you can have like multiple of those. But if you remember the Connect version 2, you would always be bound to one device per thing. So actually what you want to have is like more flexibility, having multiple input devices, multiple output devices, and also not being restricted with USB connections, because USB connections have the stupid issue that they're kind of limited regarding size and these kinds of things. And the vision that I had was kind of create some kind of thing where we have abstractions to put those tracking devices in a network over IP. So since most of the devices that I have available are just USB devices, would need some kind of host computer. So the idea was to have like a device that you want to share over the network that is connected to some kind of host computer, which also ideally is some kind of thin client. So not necessarily a computer that has to have a lot of GPU power or something like this, but that makes this available over IP to everyone who's interested on the network. Yeah. So you could have scenarios where you would have like one computer that might have like a device directly connected to it, but also receive stuff from different other nodes that have tracking devices connected. So to build up like more flexible setups, everything over IP would be nice to have, because IP, is cheap and has like huge distances that you can cover. And I decided to give it like a kind of naive try, just using it ZeroMQ, because ZeroMQ handles a lot of the complexity when it comes to data transmission. And yeah, what I ended up with was something that I can demonstrate, because showing something is always a little bit better than to just talk about it. I'm on a different computer right now. What is not the computer that I'm on, so I need to switch to this one here. So what I made was this library, Espace, that is meant to be device agnostic in a certain sense. Yeah. What I also wanted to achieve was some kind of how do you call it? Some kind of abstraction where it doesn't really matter if you like have an Azure Connect or a Connect version 2, or maybe a SetCam or whatever other device is just the hot shit right now. But in the end, when you receive all the data, you want to kind of work with one kind of RGB or depth image or a skeleton or whatever. Yeah. So I kind of thought of some abstractions to make this possible. And one thing that I found out is that, okay, you really, for each of those devices, you kind of get into a rabbit hole of things. For instance, right now, only the Azure Connect is like a device that I would say is fully available there. Other devices like the Connect versions 2 are not yet. They're kind of in a broken state, and different ones like the SetCams I didn't even try because I didn't have the time for it. But you end up having stuff like this, which is, well, okay, this is nothing special. Yeah, this is the room that we're in right now. This is me. There's some skeleton tracking for Kevin over there. And what you see here is also just the depth image and the RGB depth image from the Kinect, which is not connected to this computer that I'm on, but like on the computer that is right next to me, which is just connected over IP using ZeroMQ to this computer. And yeah, that's actually something that's quite nice, because as soon as you have reached this state, you can think of, okay, why don't I just use another device as well? And now I'm bringing in a second Kinect. So is it? No, it's not it here. Where is it? I need to make sure that it actually delivers some data. Let me check. Or is it? Oh, it is already there. Sorry, because there's one of those connects and there's the other one over here. So there's two connects, or the dev's point cloud from two connects that are merged in this image. And this brings me to the next point. I also wanted to have like this easy way of merging different, camera worlds into one. And this is where, Randall, you get my heart in here, because you've done so much work in this when it comes to wrapping all the depth sensors, and also when it comes to OpenCV. I just used the OpenCV Solve PNP thing for just having like quickly just say, okay, this is my reference, and both of the cameras should get this in here. So there's a little part that is just basically a wrapper from, or just like a little adaptation from the Solve PNP help patch, the calculate camera position, which I used just before the meetup to get the positions of the camera. So in here, didn't have an editable package here, but it's basically the help patch that is inside here. I'm storing these transforms in here, and I'm using those transforms later on to do two things. Those transforms, on the one hand, will be used to kind of transform the point cloud that I'm having here, and on the other hand, I also kind of communicate this camera transform back to the thin clients, to the nodes where the connects are running on, because over there I will already transform the body tracking to this right space, because then you can have like a single computer that is kind of the remote control over all this, and this will make sure that everybody else who might be on the network, because if somebody of you would join into this, you would have the same kind of calibration as well, because I did it here on this computer, but I want it to be available for you guys as well. So in the end, it's it's intended to be this kind of tool set that makes these kinds of spatial applications much easier and more fun to work with. Yeah, so basically, you're not only bound to one computer and one device anymore, or not necessarily also bound to all those restrictions that you might get from USB things. And what is what is in there? Well, there's a basic library, VL.Espace, which hosts the core functionality, all the networking part. Also the kind of the device remote. If you want a remote control of the connects which are running on a different computer, there's some kind of record that contains all the stuff that you can set up for those devices. It happens to have all the image and decoding, because you can imagine that actually sending this data over the network can be quite heavy on the network. Just to give you an idea, this is right now happening with two connects sending color depths and depths images. That's 200 megabits, which is okay for nowadays networking environments, but still it's not something that you might want to push over Wi-Fi. To make this possible, or to have it at least down at 200 megabits or megabytes per second, I'm not sure if I think it was megabytes per second. There's a JPEG encoding going on for the RGB image. There's a snappy encoding going on for the depth image, because you need to have this uncompressed, otherwise the depth information will be lost. This is actually an idea that I stole from Catweasel. Thank you, Catweasel, because I know that you've been doing this before. And then in here is also some abstractions for this whole skeleton things, which is something that I had a look into at some point and wanted to know, okay, what kind of skeletons are out there. There's the Xbox Connect with 20 joints. This connects 2 with 25 joints. There's the Edge Connect that even has, I think, 32 joints, or much more than that. The set camera has 2 different models, and other models exist as well. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm just basically forwarding those Azure Connect joints, but the idea would be to have some kind of, abstraction where you can have like some kind of unified skeleton to kind of, process export Connect skeleton into a unified skeleton, take the Ashes Connect skeleton and kind of reduce it a little bit to have some unified skeleton. And at the end point, you don't have to care about any of those data sources anymore because you have just a unified skeleton. And this is also the point, looking at you, Yorick, where I'm quite curious what is going on the avataring front, because that might also be interesting for that. Yeah, and then there's 2 or 3 other packages. There's a stride package that contains the skeleton and point cloud visualization. The point cloud visualization is also just an adaptation of something that was already in the Azure Connect package. By the way, the Azure Connect package on the way during developing this was extended a little bit by me. So the Azure Connect has some. I had to pull out some stuff to make this possible because stuff like the calibration information from the Connect had to be kind of not being internal, but I need to send it over the network to the different computers to make this point cloud visualization possible. Also on the way, I extended it to have the Connect controllable regarding brightness and gain and all these kinds of things. And yeah, then there's a little package that contains the helpers for calibration. There's the Connect 2 package, which is there and almost working, but yeah, it got broken somewhere on the way and I still need to find some time to fix it. Yeah, and ideally there should be other devices there as well. And I would love to have not only dev scans in there and tracking, but maybe even like other devices like hand tracking or wife trackers, like spatial tracking devices, lidars maybe. If you know the lidar's position and you can kind of calibrate them in this space as well, they would ideally have some part in this world here. Oh yeah, and by the way, one other thing that I found quite intriguing was if you have like a setup like this, you might want to have some kind of auto discovery for, okay, who's there on the network. And yeah, a few months ago, I dug into this, that I wrapped a library to make MDNS or Bonjour available for VL. So I can demonstrate this quickly. Do we have 20 seconds left, Randall?
I think you have 10 seconds left.
Okay, I can do this. Can somebody give me a countdown? Okay, let's close this. So that would be, yeah, basically the same patch with some other MDNS client in here. The MDNS client looks up stuff that is going on the server network with MDNS, and I don't have an MDNS server right now. Sorry, maybe this is
compromise demo.
Okay, sorry for that. Yeah, but basically, you could have like on the server an announcer that says, "Hey, I'm a Sync client node and I'm having an Azure Connect under this IP and port. Please connect to me," which is something, yeah, that I'm doing here. So I get out the host address, the port number, and the name, and automatically can connect to this or maybe choose from this. So yeah, sorry, I made it 15 seconds.
I think we need a whole meetup just to look at this thing in depth. It's super incredible.
Yeah,
you're getting
it's super
a lot
incredible,
of love.
but I have to be, you have to be, yeah. If you are curious, you should know it's still very rough. It has not yet been battle tested. There is some performance issues because sometimes it really runs smoothly. It's almost like you don't notice any difference in latency if you're on a different computer. Sometimes I have the feeling it kind of adds up some frames somewhere and it doesn't get them back, or sometimes it does. So especially when you have multiple devices and you want to have sync among those devices, that's something that I didn't really figure out how to deal with that. Also, I suspect that there is some kind of garbage collection issue still ongoing. This is where I'm looking at you, Elliot, because you promised at some point that there's a workshop on doing these kinds of things. I'm still waiting for that. So if it would happen at some point, I would be really glad because that really could help me out in this. Right, that's it.
Well, first of all, bravo. I love it. You've covered so many aspects of the, the void in the V4 universe in one single tool that I'm honestly blown away. I have README going on like crazy on the YouTube chat. He's asking if the little 27 by 28 frame rate, is that the transmission frame rate? So that's the first question. Then what is the latency versus local tethering of a device, which you kind of addressed already. And that's it. That's the two ones I have from README. So maybe we go through those.
What you saw here basically is the receiving frame rate. And this is where my kind of, my in-depth knowledge of, okay, how does NetMQ actually work when there's something not being sent fast enough ends. So basically, if you have like one computer, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a strong computer, and one client, I usually get like 30 frames per second easily. Yeah. Now there's two Kinects connected to one other laptop here, and they're both sending from the same NIC to the other computer, and that's where it seems to be kind of, even though the network bandwidth is not maxed out, it seems to kind of drop. So there's something going on that I didn't really understand yet fully to be able to address this, and that's where I say, okay, this is not something that is meant to be like a super high fluent streaming applications. It's more working as a kind of, okay, you want to have like spatial information somewhere. You can use it if you just want to know if something's moving in there, but I wouldn't call it like a multi-device synced setup. That's too cheap for that.
But then again, because you said you saw it dropped when you have multiple devices coming in from the same computer. But if I had one, as you suggested, like a little box per device, is that then 30 frames more or less? Depends on the device.
It depends very much on the hardware of the network, and also there's some kind of randomness, and when it does behave well and when it doesn't, that I wasn't really able to solve. So it would need much more work to kind of find this out, why it is happening. And this is also one of the reasons why I was kind of hesitant to not release it earlier, even though it was in this state like already 2 years ago. But yeah, I'm going to publish it because there's probably another question. I'm going to publish it. You can all play around with it and see if you can help me kind of fix those issues or make it better, extend it. And yeah, as I said, it's kind of a naive approach. So you might find lots of stuff that might be solved much more efficient, or also the code base is quite old already. So that was all before these fancy things like channels and these kinds of things happen. So there might be some way of improving this. But yeah, one thing I forgot to mention is that the server that I'm running now, I can show you the pad. No, I don't show you the pad, but the server I'm running now is completely reactive. So that means it's right now a command line application. Of course, you can build a GUI for this as well. But it's running at 5 frames per second because the entire pipeline for the images that come in there is completely reactive and not on the main thread. So I was hoping to squeeze out most of the performance that would be there.
Okay. We have another question from iPad from Steffi on the Zoom chat. It says, how do you transfer the point cloud over network? Isn't the amount of data too big?
I don't transfer the point cloud over the network, even though that's something I also considered, because what you can get from the Azure Kinect is a point cloud image that contains XYZ information. But in the end, I did some tests, and I'm just transferring 2 images, which is the depth image, which you need for like the depth information, and the RGB depth, which is like an RGB image mapped to this depth information, that are then combined in a shader on the rendering side of things to create this point cloud. So that's not work that I have done. I just adjusted it a little bit. It's actually just a shader FX patch. that takes the depth image and the RGB image and puts points there. It would, of course, be interesting to kind of, adapt this to kind of, have those points available like as a GPU source for views or whatever. But yeah, there's lots of things to improve here.
Sure. You have a heart from Sebastiano Barbieri. You have glowing eyes from Ari, who is back there in Berlin.
I forgot to mention Ari.
Release.
Also, thank you to you because he has for the Kinect 2 some stuff that I might want to integrate, but I'm not sure yet because some things I thought might have been better placed in the Kinect 2 Nougat on originally, like from while retrieving the data, some things should be done already there and not only on the rendering side. But yeah.
I had some questions from my end. When you do this multicam calibration thing and you render a point cloud out of that, how precise is like the merge between point clouds? Like if I want to do a high five, one hand is perceived by one sensor and the other one by the other one. Is it accurate enough? Does it feel like a single space?
I think it depends on like how accurate you want to be, or you can make this while calibrating this. Yeah, you see the board here that I'm using is quite small, and I just held it there while firstly calibrating the one and the others, and it was accurate to, I would say, I don't know, 5 centimeters, 6 centimeters, so not super accurate.
Okay.
But like if you want to track bodies or something like that, good enough. But you can go bigger than that, and if you invest some time also in maybe even calibrating the cameras yourself, because right now I'm using the calibration information that is stored in the Kinects, which is
it's the same for every sensor. Yeah.
And I remember that you mentioned at some point that you weren't really pleased with this information and you did it yourself. I think you might be the better person to answer this question.
Fair enough.
I didn't really test it thoroughly. It was just like a proof of concept. Okay, it's working and it makes sense to like have multiple Kinects and have them track the same space.
Just to add on that thread, I know Kopfarben did an interesting calibration setup with multiple Aruko markers at different heights, like at different depths from the camera, to even narrow down to really get high-end precision out of it. Maxime had something to do with that as well. But then you're using Snappy to do lossless texture transmission. Is it holding 16-bit depth textures and whatnot? Like you're sending the depth texture with Snappy, is it?
Snappy is a compression method that is totally agnostic of the data. Means it's like a zip compression, in a sense. Zip, you can use the zip compression to compress anything. Snappy just takes in data, tries to be very fast with compressing it, so it prioritizes speed over compression efficiency, like data that you can get out of it, which was I guess more important for having the fast transmission. And so I just take the depth image, I just compress it with Snappy, send it over the network, decompress it on the client side, and make it available as a texture or whatever.
Cool.
So I think it's like usually like 3-4 milliseconds or something like this. So
wow. And then on the receiving end, you're no longer dealing with like the Kinect object and the color. You're dealing with textures more or less.
Exactly. Just to show you this in the patch, what I have here on the receiving side is...
Sorry, we're not seeing your screen at the moment.
I just want to mention that it's actually you that is bringing me over this 20-second limit.
Yes, I'll take the blame.
So basically, here I've got this node. It's just called Azure Connect Receiver that doesn't have any library connection to the Azure Connect. It's just an abstraction of the data that the Azure Connect can receive, which is DevScan data, which is like the calibration information, the skeleton, which is just like an XML containing joints. Then there's the depth image, that it can receive inside here. The depth image is just a snappy decoder with a certain image width and height, which is unique to the Azure Kinect, and the Kinect version 2 might have different ones. Yeah, and basically this just contains the CRM receivers. It decodes all the stuff and makes it available as images. And I got a different note because you might not need them as a texture, but as an image. For instance, sorry, this is not the patch where I have the calibration here. But when it comes to the calibration, you don't want to have the texture for OpenCV as an input, but the image, which is just the pixel data that will be converted to an OpenCV image. And in here, I got the display images, which is just like a simple patch that takes the images, puts them on a quad or something like this, and displays them, or outputs the texture directly. So in here, there's nothing else but this image to texture node. Yeah. So that's also a nice thing. I made it kind of flexible so that like here on my main computer node where the rendering happens, I don't need any references to the Azure Kinect NuGet or whatever. Don't have any body tracking installed in here. It's just like it's taking the data, the extracted data, and does the rendering thing. So that was also like one of the things. And I like to have like this I think it's a Linux kind of philosophy to have like lots of tools that are kind of doing one thing really, really good. And having like one simple stupid node that there's nothing else, just taking the Kinect data and sending it out over the network is kind of nice because yeah, you can have your main computer clean of all this stuff, and you don't have to worry about this. But still, yeah, of course, you have another computer that might fail. It's a philosophy kind of things, how you set up the network.
I love it. I think you'll be hearing from the people I'm working for very soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if other people knock on your door also quite soon. I'm getting a question from Tebjan. So before I jump into that, do we have any comments, questions for our dear Motsi? He showed us the solution to many headaches just now.
It's
Sune is clapping like the hands are fire.
It's like a proposal for a solution, and I'm hoping that over time it might gain maturity. That's and thank you to everybody who is making me able to stand on the shoulder of giants.
Matthias.
So it is.
Yes. I have a question. Yeah. So, you started NDI, right? Didn't he? And I was wondering a lot, like, did you try to use NDI here in this scenario or not? It's compressed. It's compressed.
It's compressed. You lose this, like the dev stuff you wouldn't be able to use.
Yeah, you could use NDI for the RGB stuff, but not for the dev stuff. And I thought about lots of things. Also, one thing I tried is, it's also in the Azure Kinect package right now, as on the Azure Kinect side, I create a packed image, which is like one image that contains in the first 16-bit like the RGB data, like 565 for RGB, and the other 16 bits is the depth data in one image, so that it can be transmitted over the network as one thing to have absolute synchronicity at the receiving side for the two images. But I found that actually it doesn't really matter. The image size is a little bit bigger than that. And usually the depth and the color image, they kind of arrive at the same time also if you send them separately. Yeah. So I did some experimentation there as well a while ago. NDI, I did some research as well. I know that there is different research projects that have this compression of depth images as their core feature. There's even a paper by Microsoft themselves, and there's an implementation for this as well. And I just found it like a year ago or something like that, and didn't really have the time to look into this more thoroughly. But yeah, there's lots of room of improvement. As I said, it's like just a naive approach to get something going.
Reminds me, there is this alternative to NDI that I think Björn brought it.
Something, yeah.
I can't remember. And it's in the forum. I think Björn put it in the forum at some point, answering also just as an alternative to NDI. And they have uncompressed transmission.
Or at least lossless compression, that's the point, no?
Sorry, lossless.
I can tell you what it is. It is a framework which is called. Yes, I got it somewhere here in my notes, but I don't find it right. Yeah, but it's a big research project that like has like all kinds of video transmission over the network things going on. It's just I don't think that there's an easy like C# interface for this available, but it would be a different project.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, you like avatar things?
Not this time. Next
I'm
time.
afraid they passed. We tried. Motsi, amazing. Really like incredible work. Like Messiah level type stuff. We have a surprise guest. Tebjan, are you with us?
Hey, yeah. Hi.
Hey, okay. What do you have for us? This is unscripted, as they say.
Super little thing I released today, and I thought I'd show it in 5 seconds. It's now you have seen all this exciting stuff. Now something super boring so that you can sleep well later. Where's here? So, it's a little nugget called VL.OCIO, which stands for Open Color I/O. It's a nugget that is sponsored by Graphic Anadal Studio. They needed it in a project, and it is about color spaces. So maybe you remember when vvvv came along, we had this new like rendering color space that was a linear RGB. And before it was sRGB, so there was a lot of confusion. Now this adds a lot to this confusion. And if you enter the world of like professional broadcasting or Hollywood or digital cameras, you get like hit with like so many different color spaces. But there is a library to manage all of that, and it's called Open Color I/O. It's a website, and they are work together with ACES, so the Academy, whatever color thing. And what they release is configuration files. They look like this. And they come with like lots of stuff, lookup tables for color conversions. And now this nugget contains like 3 nodes. It's this node where you put the reference to the configuration file for the color config, and then in this node you have 2 dynamic enumerations. The first is the input color space. So the input color space for a texture that you put in here. For example, if you render something, it's a linear sRGB, but there is like I don't know how many. For example, yeah, for RED cameras, for Sony cameras, whatever. So they all have their different camera spaces, color spaces, and you can just choose one. That's for a logarithmic one. Let's choose another one. Some Sony. And then you can choose the output. This is a bit less, so because this config file is made for displays. And there are several displays that can display a higher color count than your usual monitor. So they are HDR displays, so 10-bit displays. And this is a config file for these displays. And they have different color spaces. For example, that one would be the normal sRGB color space. But the display or the LED display that was requested for this project has this color space. Yeah.
Oh, wow, big difference, huh?
A really big difference. No, I mean, usually you don't really see I mean, it's subtle, but yeah, it matters in these kinds of professional environments. So yeah, that's the thing. You have it, you can install it from Nugget. And that was that. I hope it was under 20 seconds.
I think you almost made it on the real 20-second.
Yeah.
And is this in any way related to this kind of, I'm not an expert in any way, but like this color profile thing you can get for your monitor and your printer and your camera and so on.
Exactly.
Is that kind of, yeah, okay.
Yes, that is this side here. So there's one tiny thing missing. On DirectX also has a way, if you open a window, so in this case, the scene window, you can specify the back buffer format, but you can also specify the color space that you're outputting. So there's one thing left to do in Stride to add this color space input, and then eventually the color space input to the render windows. And then you can set here a 10-bit color format for the renderer. It's these things, I think, unorm. And then you also set a color space, and I think there's actually, that one is available in DirectX. So if you set these two things, your monitor will recognize that and display this, the output of the window, like natively at 10 bits for HDR displays.
Wow.
But you know it's there. If anyone ever needs it, that's the little thing just released today. And yeah, have a good night.
Super cool. Thanks for sharing. Geeky, but super valuable. And yeah, like you say, when you're using high-end gear and specific projectors, screens, and whatnot, these things can bite you in the ass, as they say. So super cool. Nice to know that it's there. Thanks for sharing. Super cool.
Can you hear me?
Questions? Comment? Yes.
Yeah, but I guess it's mostly a comment to expand on this. Since it knows cameras, we could, I guess, put directly log footage into Gamma. Yeah, imagine this: you have an event where you have a photographer going around filming. Then, if you film in log, then you have more color information in the camera footage, and so you could kind of color grade the image inside 4V like you would do in something like an editor like DaVinci Resolve or something like that, to get a more cinematic or beautiful image than if you have the standard Rec 709 input.
Yes, correctly. So there are many ways you can use that. For example, if you get like the color space of like a professional digital camera, you can use that color space directly, apply texture FX in that color space, which often have a wider color range, and then in the end, transfer it back to like sRGB for your screen. So you can work with texture FX in a different color space if you want, if you sandwich it in between two of these.
Yeah, but usually, I mean, I know the workflow from DaVinci Resolve where you have the camera color space, then you have a timeline color space, and then you have the output color space.
Yes.
So what I can't see from your stuff, if you can use the output color space as a very large color space where you can go kind of crazy and then narrow it down into to the output color space.
Yes, I mean, it depends on this config file. That is now the official config file from Asus, but there are many, many more config files you can download. And this node, gets this. And then, I mean, to be honest, I haven't looked at all of this. I don't know what.
Because there is, I think Asus have some intermediary color spaces as well that you can kind of work in that are very robust. Those.
ASCG, for example, is something that many studios use for digital assets. Yeah, Asus.
But it could also be interesting to convert from the camera color space into Asus. I think CT is the normal one, and CG for doing post effects.
Yeah, for that you would need another config file. That one is for monitors. That's why it has these few, but maybe one of these is actually if you go to maybe raw is like, I don't know what it is. But you have to look in Open Colorize is a big documentation page, and you can go there. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's some nice
Sorry,
things.
one small detail question. I wonder what is in these config files, and I wonder if it's all LUT based, like lookup table based, or if it's a completely different system.
It's not all lookup tables. There are many different color transformations defined in the config, and there's so many that at some point I stopped implementing them and went the road to get the C++ library into V4 with some C++ like intermediate code, and then this C++ library that they release, it also gives you shader code. So from this library, you can read the shader code and lookup tables. And depending on what you choose, you get different shader code, different lookup tables. But some transformations are just matrix transforms. Some others are just multiplications of the color. And whatever you choose, you get a shader, and then lookup tables or matrices, whatever, and you have to set it to the shader. That's what I then did as a wrapper. So it depends how the config file is set up, but it's not all lookup tables.
And at the end up, this is a texture effect, right?
Yeah, in the end, it's just texture effects, texture in, texture out.
So you just compile the shader somehow with this library.
Say again.
And you just compile the shader for the Mrs. library, so you create some real-time shader generation.
Yes, the C++ library actually outputs shader code. It looks a bit wrong because it's in ASCII or something. But then I just wrap it in a stride shader definition. That's what happens here. And then the shader source gets registered and then applied to a texture transform that has one composition, and this composition is what the OpenColor.io library gives us as a shader.
Now, related question, can the video player play 10-bit files?
Not sure, but in this case, it was important to check that DDS works with higher bit ranges, and there's BC6, I don't know if you can read it. BC6 UF16 is a format that has 16-bit color formats. So if you have a picture stack, I would recommend to encode it into that DDS format. Then you have 16-bit per channel for each color channel. But the video player, I don't know. Maybe it depends on the codec. Elias has to answer that one.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for now. It was more than 20 seconds, but
oh, it's super cool to see. Clearly, there were some questions and there's interest in there already. Thank you, Tebjan, for sharing and for putting this out. How do we find this? What is the name of it again?
OpenColor.io is OCIO. VL.OCIO.
Okay, and it's already out there in the NuGet stuff and GitHub and whatnot.
It's on Nugget, on my GitHub, and I can make a forum post maybe.
Okay, super cool.
All right.
Thank
cool.
you so much. Now, before we leave you, that's everything we have for presentations today. So thank you everyone so much for joining us. I would like to give you a few reminders from our administration. So first of all, we're trying to get the meetups going as regularly as possible. So please reach out if you have anything to show. Don't be shy. I know a lot of us think, oh, it's almost ready, but I want to clean it up a little bit more. I want to polish it a little bit more. And those things tend to get stuck in a bin and forgotten. As we saw, from example, from today with Motzi, he has had this tool for a while and didn't share it before because he was trying to get it to a more polished state. maybe we should just be a little bit less perfectionist and show what we got. Maybe somebody joins the project, maybe things start moving along quicker. So if you're interested in sharing something, please reach out. You can write to me, you can write in the V4 chat room, you can talk to Czech, you can talk to Hashini, you can talk to Amir, you can talk to Jurek, David, I don't know. Just reach out, we'll route you through the right channels and make sure your contribution makes it to the next meetup. We have the next meetup already planned for March the 13th. So that means we don't have a February one, mainly because it's hard to collect enough people to bring something on to show. So again, please raise your hand if you're interested, you have something to share, as small or as big as it might be. We're happy to have you. So that will be that on that front. On my personal notes, I want to thank, as always, the Node Institute for sharing their infrastructure with us today. Maxime and David, I know you had to run around and put out fires live to get the show going on today. So thank you very much for that. Also, Harshini, I know, is helping in the background. Czech, Daniel, Joreg, everyone, thank you for all your hard work that goes unseen. And then if you were wondering about the hidden V4 related objects, we had the notebook sticker hidden in the background. We have the original concrete quad here, which is an old-timer classic. Oops, I'll work out in the end. We have 2 different Node Festival badge passes. And finally, we have the actual wooden plate where we ate at Node 2020, I believe. So I hope you got them all. And I think that's it for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your beautiful work. I hope we see each other again March the 13th. And without anything else, have a very good night and goodbye to you all. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys. Have a great night.
You too, Dom. Ciao, ciao. Good to see you, man.
Ciao.